Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys figure review. Now I'm so sorry I couldn't fit this entire box in frame, it's just absolutely enormous. But if you do want to see a better image of the box itself, check out the unboxing video that I did just recently up on the channel. Now this figure is definitely one that I've been super excited for. I was umming and ahhing whether or not to pick it up just because I didn't actually have that Thor. But if you've been listening to what I've been saying in my previous videos, I actually ended up picking up that Thor once again. So that's one of the funny things that happens whilst you're collecting these figures. You let them go and you sometimes end up rebuying the exact same figure down the line. So this definitely is something that I've been super excited for nevertheless, and he will be displayed alongside Gladiator Thor, and I can't wait to put them together in this video and give you an idea of what they look like together. Now, of course, there will be a comparison video because I do have both other versions of Hulk, being the Age of Ultron and the first Avengers version, so I know a lot of you are keen to see a comparison video, so definitely stay tuned to the channel for that. But just for now, what we're going to do is get all of the accessories out here and take a look at everything he comes with. Now, in terms of accessories, he does not come with a hell of a lot, but he does come with this honkin' huge axe here, and it's a really awesome piece. It is pretty screen accurate from what I can tell. However, in the actual box image, and I think maybe on the screen used one, there was a spike on the other end and an axe on one side. So maybe it isn't all that screen accurate, but I do want to warn you that if you are putting it in his hand, it's pretty much going to be staying in there. You can already see some of the green paint sort of rubbing off on the knurling sort of section here. And that's just pretty much from forcing it in there. There is no better way to do it other than maybe heating the hand up in some hot water. And the instructions do tell you which weapon to put in which hand, so definitely be aware of what the instructions say. I definitely would check it out for a figure of this size, or any figure for that matter. Now, he does also come with this huge hammer, and it does have a little bit of weight to it as well. There is a little bit of weight in this hammer itself, and it does look like an engine block sort of piece. There's a terrific level of paint work on this piece as well. It is also incredibly difficult to get it in and out of that hand, so definitely do be aware of that piece. Now, he does come with this awesome helmet, which you did see in the unboxing video. These hairs do have a tendency to sort of droop down, but you can sort of fix it by just sort of futzing it around a little bit. It does sort of pick up a little bit of lint as well, so just be careful with that. Now, when you do get it out of the packaging, these side pieces are detached, and they do sort of come on and off, but if you do leave them on and you take the hairpiece off the head, it does slot on there quite nicely. Now, I do have a bit of trouble fitting this into the light box with the actual head on the Thor figure, so I might, on the Hulk figure I should say, I might put this on the head separately to the actual figure itself, but that's equally well done. He does come with two head sculpts. This is a reuse from one of the other previous versions of Hulk. The Age of Ultron one and the original one, I think both came with this head sculpt, although the Age of Ultron one you could get a different sort of style head as well if you got the deluxe version, but this does have the purse sort of system, and you can take off the hair as well. Now, if you want to attach the helmet to this head, you can take off the head there and you can move the eyes around, but what it recommends you do is switch this piece out onto the back of his head, and it does sort of slide in. It's sort of not the easiest thing in the world to do, and once you've done that, you can put the helmet on there, and it's sort of magnetized on there as well, and it sits on there quite nicely, and it looks sort of exactly how it did on film, which is really awesome. And I'm glad that they included the separate head sculpt so you could have the two different looks. However, this does not obviously replicate the short hair look that he did have in Ragnarok with the other head sculpt, which I will show you in just a sec. And that leads me on to this hair piece here, which is just like the Thor figure. It's a separate piece which you can pop on the head sculpt to give that short hair look. He does come with the usual Hulk hands. However, this hand, you can see there's a bit of a chip in the paint just up there on the finger, which is a bit unfortunate, but these are the rubber sort of articulated hands, so you can get various poses. Now, that's a whole heap of time spent on not a lot of accessories, so I do apologize for that. So what we're going to do now is get the figure himself out here and take a look at the outfit. Now, I have to say, this Hulk is an absolutely stunning piece. They have done a terrific job with all the little intricate details, especially on this newly done head sculpt. Now, as I was saying, this does have the short-haired look. If you do compare it to this head sculpt, which is the other head sculpt that comes with the figure, you can see it's got a much fuller head of hair. The hair's a lot longer compared to this one. I do absolutely prefer this look, and you can see I've got the eyes just going off to one side just to create a little bit of a visual difference between the head sculpts. Now, as you can see, the armor is all sort of plastic pieces. I did expect some sort of leather strapping, however, it all does look to be sculpted plastic, which is okay. I guess it's going to be the thing that holds up the most on this figure. Now, you can see that there's an excellent level of sculpted detail. This is the exact same Hulk body as with the previous two figures, just with all of this sort of extra armor pieces applied over the top, as well as the additional paintwork. Now, I do have to give you a word of warning. When you're switching out the hands on this figure, it does act like a Batman figure in the fact that this gauntlet sort of piece does often push off the hand itself, which is very frustrating, but you can sort of get around it if you use a little bit of brute force. I guess this is a Hulk figure, that's what you'd come to expect. Now, this shoulder piece is apparently detachable. It's magnetically adhered onto the actual shoulder itself, as you can see, and you can remove that. I'm not exactly sure why you would want to. It's not even removed for shipping, which you'd think would be the reason why it's removable, but it can be removed if that is something that you want. Now, it obviously does look better with it on there, so I'm not exactly sure why you would want to do that. I'm just going to move the camera down a little bit and give you a look at the rest of the outfit. Now, as you can see, the terrific detailing carries on throughout the rest of the figure. This, I think, is the most accurate version of this outfit that we've seen from any figure to date. The Mezco version, comparing it to the screenshots from the film, looks just a little bit different to the actual screen used, I guess you could say, CGI model of the outfit. Now, obviously, this belt buckle is a pretty unique piece, and it's a very distinguishing sort of feature for this outfit for Hulk, and he does have it on both the smaller sort of Mezco version and this Hot Toys version as well. And they've done a terrific job in replicating it on both fronts, but I definitely do think this Hot Toys one is a superior piece. Now, you can also see that there is this armor sort of piece down the arm here. You'd think that would restrict the articulation, but there goes the hand with the gauntlet piece. It doesn't actually restrict it too much because it is a separate piece. Now, it does look like one continuous piece when you have it down there, but it is a separate sort of piece. Now, that hand will pop off from time to time just because that gauntlet piece does push it down. Now, the feet on this Hulk figure has been a point of sort of controversy when they first released the prototype pictures versus the final product. The final product is a little bit different in the fact that they've basically reused the original Hulk feet and not sculpted in the sort of, I guess you could say, sandal sort of pieces that he did have or appears to have on film and in the smaller Mezco version. That's why I keep bringing that figure up, is because it's a sort of really more of a high-end figure compared to like a Diamond Select or anything like that, in terms of price range at least. That's why I sort of keep comparing them. Now, he doesn't have those sandal sort of pieces. Whether it's accurate or not, I'm not entirely sure, but it definitely does do the job well enough for it to convey what it is, and it definitely does look like an interesting sort of sandal design. This piece is a floating piece and it is separate. I'm sort of trying to move it around. It doesn't move a hell of a lot, but it does definitely move. Now, you can tell as well that the knees are easily visible. That's one complaint I know from a lot of people, because the arms are seamless. A lot of people have been asking, why can't the knees be seamless as well? But it's an unfortunate thing, but it does allow for greater articulation, and if you want to bend him down to fit him in your detolf, that is definitely something that will help, being able to bend the knees and leave them bent for a long period of time. Just to give you a closer look at this head sculpt and putting the helmet on this one, I thought I'd show you the difference in terms of the helmet on this version versus the long head version. You can see that it's a shorter sort of cut, and there is that sort of seam line on top where the top part detaches, just like the Gladiator Thor figure. Now, the eyes do move, much like the PERS system. It is an individual system. I think the DX12 did have the individual eyes as well. You can see that there is the two sticks on the inside, and I do have it looking off to the side. I think it looks a little bit more menacing, but this is a very, very segmented head sculpt with multiple different pieces. You can see the war paint on there as well. Now, once you've applied these panels to the outside of the helmet, it is magnetic just like the other head, and it can sit on there just as nicely as it does with the long head version. And I'm just giving you a closer look at the details of this helmet while it's on a head sculpt, and it looks really, really nice. They have done a terrific job. These horse hairs though do, I don't know if they're real horse hairs, but these hairs do sort of sag down. I will have to see what I can do about closing that gap up over time, because it will sag eventually. But that's pretty much how you apply the head sculpt. You do be careful not to scratch the actual paintwork with those pieces there, but once you're done, you can just apply the hair back onto the head sculpt and you can have normal short-haired Hulk. As for a side-by-side comparison, I thought who better to compare him to than the Gladiator version of Thor himself, because these two are obviously going to be displayed on the shelf together. They just look absolutely awesome together. The Hulk even more so when he's wearing his full helmet. I literally just couldn't fit it into the light box. His head is at the very top already, and it was just a little bit tricky to fit it all in there, but it definitely does look really awesome having them both displayed together. Now, this Gladiator Hulk figure is definitely one that you have to pick up if you have the Gladiator version of Thor. They just work so well together. Now, he does scale really well with your Avengers collection as well, so if you do want to have like an otherworld version of Hulk displayed with your Avengers, this will work equally as well. Or even if you wanted to take some of the armor off and just have a standard sort of version of Hulk, it would work just as well, except for the body paint. Now, that can't be removed, unfortunately, but it is definitely a more up-to-date version of Hulk. There are those controversies with the sandals and the fact that the knees are visible, but I think it's definitely something that you can get past, just because he looks so awesome displayed with his huge weapons and his helmet right next to Gladiator Thor. So that's about it for this video, guys. Check out my Instagram page. As always, I do have photos of upcoming figures and everything. Apparently, the Iron Man Mark IV diecast figure is set to be released this week. I'll be picking that up as soon as it's released and bringing you a review. Do let me know in the comments whether you want to see the gantry version or the standard version. Your comments will definitely influence whether or not I pick up the gantry or the standard one, so do let me know. But that's about it for this video, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.